Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is the significance of the election of 2008. Of course, we're privileged to have with us to talk about the election of 2008 and how significant this election is, not only for America, but indeed for the world, Dr. Baldwin.
Yes.
Of course, Dr. Baldwin, I don't think that you need any introduction to our audience this morning because you've been with us on a number of occasions, many occasions, and I think that if we ever have to talk about the significance of the election of 2008, I'm sure that everything that you've told us has sort of led some way in one way or another to where we are today.
That's right.
So that's what we'd like to do today. What I'd like to do, Dr. Baldwin, is to really get a historical viewpoint in reference to this election of 2008. And I don't think that there's any person that is better qualified to give us a historical viewpoint than yourself. And so let's start off by having you to talk about some of the books and some of the things that you've written that would eventually bring us to where we are now.
Okay, my scholarship is mostly on the civil rights movement and how it laid the foundation for our rise in politics and our rise to what might be called the kind of political empowerment that led to the election of Obama. I've written 5 books on Dr. King, all of which cover the history of the civil rights movement. And I view the civil rights movement as another page in the whole history of the movement, going back to the period of slavery, going back to the Emancipation Proclamation, going back to the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, the Civil Rights Act of 1875. So we're talking about another chapter, if you will, in the whole history of African-American struggle. And as we said earlier, I think the Obama election was a sort of culmination of centuries of struggle, which go back to the early African slaves and extend up through the modern civil rights movement with Martin Luther King Jr.
You know, when you think about this election, I think it has had an impact, and quite an early impact in a real sense, that it has had an impact on not only Africans, but it also has had an impact, and I think a very, very positive impact, upon a large number of other Americans.
I think we can say in a real sense that the impact is global, because when Obama was elected, when the news clips indicated that he had been elected president, there was jubilation all over the world, celebration all over the world, in Africa, in Asia, parts of the Middle East. The people throughout the United States celebrated the moment because it was a very historic moment, and thank God we were all a part of that history. We can all remember where we were when it was announced that he had been elected president. So certainly it had an impact on the nation, but on the world as well.
Well, Dr. Baldwin, when you look at this election and you think about some of the things that indeed we've talked about even on this show, what would you say would be perhaps one of the impacts that it might have dealing with young people? I mean, you've done a lot of things with Dr. King and young people, and et cetera. But sort of think in terms of that, what impact this might have on our young people.
I've said since the election that Obama represents hope for the future. A day or two after the election, I was watching the news, and I saw young people being interviewed in elementary, junior high school, and they were asked about their future plans. What do you want to be when you grow up? And many of them said, I'd like to be president. And I thought at that moment that when I was a boy, we didn't think in those terms. When asked about your future plans, certainly you wanted to be a teacher, a preacher, maybe a lawyer, but you didn't think in terms of becoming president of the United States. And young people today can think in those terms. Because of Barack Obama. He made it. Young people can think in terms of their own possibilities for achieving the highest office in the land, becoming the most powerful figure in the world. So that hope is there now.
Because there are certain things, as we make preparations for this first commercial break, there are certain things you have to do if you wish to be president of the United States. And one of them has to do with the mind and academics and et cetera. And I think that, as you indicated, if we're having so many problems today dealing with our young people, this certainly can be one of the most encouraging things, and not only for Africans, but for all races as well as all sexes as well. And so I think I agree with you. I think that that's a very, very positive kind of thing that has come out of this quite early. And I think that we can only build upon that. And of course, what we'll do, Dr. Baldwin, is to take this first commercial break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about some of your experiences dealing in other venues in reference to this. We'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. The guest is